This is lesson 7, Convert Between Systems, chapter 4, lesson 7. And the essential question is, how do you convert between measurement systems? So, in this lesson, we should be able to convert between measurement systems at the end of this lesson. Let's go right away to the key concept of this lesson. So, convert between measurement systems. So, basically, the key concept here is you can multiply, okay, you can multiply fractions. You can multiply by fractions to convert between customary and metric units. Okay, the table below lists common customary and metric relationships. So when you talk about customary system, that's what we use here in the United States. Okay, so customary refers to inches, foot, yards, and mile. This is what we use here in the United States. On the other hand, when you use the metric system, okay, the metric system is what they use all around the globe. Okay, you have centimeters, meters, meter, kilometers. So you have your customary system against the metric system. So in this concept, okay, basically what it's saying, you can multiply by fractions to convert between customary and metric units. Okay, so this table tells us the relationship between a customary unit and a metric unit. For example, if I have 1 inch, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. If I have 1 foot, that equals zero point 0.3 of a meter. If I have 1 yard, that equals 0.91 of a meter. And if I have 1 mile, that equals 1.161 kilometers. Okay, that's for length. For weight and mass, okay, 1 pound equals 453.6 grams. 1 pound also equals 0.4536 of a kilogram, and 1 ton equals 907.2 kilograms. So you have now your weight and mass. Now let's look at capacity, where 1 cup, okay, is equal to 236.59 milliliters. 1 pint, 473.18 milliliters. 1 quart is 946.35 milliliters, and 1 gallon is 3.79 milliliters. Now you will need this particular chart, this particular table, for you to answer the questions that will be asked in this lesson. Okay, so make sure you have your book open to this page whenever you're doing the got it or the quiz, okay, or the independent practice. Now, before we move on to example one, when we are converting customary to metric relationships, okay, there is a term in math called dimensional analysis, and this is what we're going to use to convert. Okay, dimensional. So this is how we convert customary metric relationships. Okay, let's take a look at this first one. Let's see how this works in terms of dimensional analysis. We know that 1 inch, okay, is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So I can say that 1 inch or 2.54 centimeters is 1 inch. Since they're equal, I can make that into a ratio. Sorry. Um, yes, 2.54 centimeters is equal to 1 inch. I can make that into a ratio. And when I say 2.54 centimeters is over 1 inch, that is actually equal to 1. Since they have the same measure, if I put the same measure on top of each other, it equals to 1. For example, if I have 8 and I put 8 on top of it, that equals 1 because their 8 is equal to 8. And since 2.54 is equal to 1 inch, that also equals 1. So all of these conversions right here, 1 foot equals zero point 0.3 of a meter, they all equal 1. Okay? And that's the reason why we can multiply these fractions, because whenever we multiply or use dimensional analysis, we are actually multiplying by 1. And when we multiply by 1, we actually do not change the value of the number. Okay? Okay. So we know what dimensional analysis is. We know that the conversion factor, okay, is always equal to 1. We call this the conversion factor. Okay? And all of these are conversion factors. All of these that we looked at right now, these are just some conversion factors when we want to convert from customary to metric or metric to customary systems. Okay, let's take a look at example one, see how our dimensional analysis works. So in example number one, we're asked to convert 17.2 inches to centimeters, and we're asked to round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. Okay, first we get the first step that we need to do here is we just simply get 17.22. Okay, 17.22 and put it on the side here, and I'll put it over 1. Okay, because 17.22 over 1 is the same as 17.22. And I'm going to write the value, the unit inches here. So we want to convert it into centimeters, right? So if you look at centimeters right here, okay, we know that 1 inch, okay, is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So I'm going to write 2.54 centimeters here over 1 inch. Okay, and instead of equal, sorry, that's not equal to, I'm going to put multiplication. So I am multiplying that. Now, if you notice, the inches, okay, is located on the numerator and the denominator side. Why is that? Because I can actually cancel out the inches. So remember, an inch over an inch cancels out because they're equal to 1. Okay, so I can cancel out the inches, and what actually remains is the unit centimeters. So when I multiply my fractions, remember I'm multiplying 7.22 times 2.54, and I simply multiplying 1 times 1. It says here now, okay, so if this is 17.22 over 1, and I multiply that, and if you notice, the inches has been canceled, okay, I get 43.7388 centimeters. And you can use a calculator for this lesson. But it's asking you to round to the nearest hundredth. And if you notice, the nearest hundredths place, okay, is this one right here. So we look at the digit to the right of it, which is 8. So it actually rounds to 4. So the rounded answer is 43.74 centimeters. So 17.22 inches is approximately equal to 43.74 centimeters. Okay? All right, let's take a look at number 2. Convert 5 kilometers to miles. Round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. Again, we want to convert kilometers to miles. So first step that we take, okay, just like number 1, is we write 5 over 1, and we put kilometers next to it. Then we need to multiply this with a conversion factor. I put the dot as a multiplication. In the first problem, in example number 1, our conversion factor is 2.54 over 1. 2.54 over 1 centimeters. Remember, we want to convert this into uh, miles. So that means I'm going to multiply this by a conversion factor, wherein at the end of my multiplication, I'm only left with miles. Therefore, I need to get rid of my kilometers, so I'm going to write kilometers on my denominator side. Why is that? Because I can actually cancel out kilometers, okay, as we go on. Okay, now let's see where you can see miles and kilometers. So here, look at our table again, here you see your miles and kilometers. So we know it's 1.61 kilometers. So we're going to put here 1.61 kilometers is equal to 1 mile right there, 1 mile. So if you notice, that's the reason why you have this right here. Okay. In this case, you only need to put one underneath so that you can see how it's been canceled. Kilometers has been canceled. Okay. Now, if you notice now, after you multiply straight, just like multiplying fractions, this becomes 5 over 1.61. And since that's the only unit left, I write down miles. So using a calculator, if I divide 5, okay, get your calculator. In this case, this is my calculator. I am going to divide 5, not now, by 1.61. The result is 3.1055, or, okay, if you round it, because if you notice here, okay, the digit after 0 is 5, so you round the 0 to 1. So you end up with 3.11 of a mile rounded to the nearest hundredths place. Okay? So use a calculator whenever you are performing this activity. Okay? So let's take a look at the got it part, and let me do one for you before I let you do the others. Okay, let's do letter B. Okay, so letter B is 1.6 centimeters, and we want to convert it into inches. So first things first, I'm going to write 1.6 centimeters over 1, and I'm going to multiply this with a conversion factor, okay, where centimeters is at the bottom, okay, and inches is on top. Why is that? Because we want to be able to cancel out the centimeters, and only the inches unit will be left. Okay, so we go back to our table and see where we can find inches and centimeters, the relationship of inches and centimeters. Okay, so here again, let me erase everything here so you don't get confused. Okay, here you can see inches and centimeters, the relationship. So 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. So I'm going to go down to my problem. Okay, I'm going to write 2.54 here because that's where my centimeter is. And I'm going to write 1 inch there. Okay, so again, my centimeter cancels out. Okay, if I multiply straight, this becomes 1.6 times 1 all over 1 times 2.54. Okay, and we know that the unit left will be in inches. Okay, so this will be 1.6 over 2.54. Okay, inches. So I'm going to use my calculator. Okay, and I'm going to get, okay, sorry, I forgot the numbers. 1.6 divided by 2.54. Answer would be 0.6. Okay, I'm going to copy the result. I'm going to write it down here. Okay, no, it's not copy pasting. Let me just copy it. 0.62992. Okay, so it's approximately equal to 0.0.69921. Okay, and the numbers continue. Okay, now since it's saying round to the nearest hundredth right here, okay, I'm going to look for my hundreds place. My hundreds place is actually this digit, and I look to the right. Okay, and since that's a 9, I round up. So this becomes 0.70. Okay, so my answer here is 0.70 of an inch. That's my answer. Okay, so try this on your own. Do letter A and letter C. Okay, let's do example number 3. We want to convert 828.5 milliliters to cups. Again, we are asked to round to the nearest hundredth when necessary. Okay, again, we're asked to convert milliliters to cups. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write down 828.5 over 1, okay? And I'm going to write milliliters here. And I need to find now my conversion factor, where it will lead me to cups. So that means my milliliter will still be here at the bottom, and cups will be on top. Why is that again? Because we want to cancel out our milliliters right away. Now let's find on our table where we can see a relationship between milliliters and cups. So going back to our table, milliliters and cups, let me erase this so we don't get confused. Okay, we can see right here is the relationship. 1 cup is equal to 236.559 milliliters. So I'm going to write 236.59 right here. 236.59 milliliters equals 1 cup. Okay, and that's how you see this problem right here. Okay, I just put a 1, and that's how you get this. So then the milliliters cancel out. Okay, now it's 828.5 cups over 236.59 because cups is the only unit that hasn't been canceled out. Using a calculator, rounded to the nearest hundredth, it is 3.50 cups. Okay, so 828 milliliters is approximately 3.50 cups. Now the word approximate is here because we are rounding it to the hundredths place. Okay, so since the answer is not, that does not terminate at the hundredths place, we just approximate the value. So that's the reason why it says approximately. Look at example number 4. Convert 3.4 quarts to milliliters. Again, round to the nearest hundredth. So again, the first step that we need to write down is, we need to write down 3.4 quarts over 1. That's the first thing you need to do. Okay? So you want to convert that to milliliters. So we are getting a conversion factor where quart should be in the denominator side, so it should be canceled, and milliliters should be on top. Okay? If I get my table, let me get my table. Okay? Let me copy my table so I don't have to scroll to this page every single time. And I'm going to post it here. Make it smaller right there. Okay. So where can you see milliliters and quarts? Okay. So if you notice, okay, here you have quarts. 1 quart is equal to 946.35 milliliters. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write the number of quarts, which is 1, the number of milliliters, which is 946.35. Okay, and we know that the quarts will cancel out. We're only going to be left with milliliters, which is what we want. Okay, so all you need to do is multiply 3.4 times 946.35, and that's exactly what happens here. Okay, so if I put a 1 here and I use the conversion factor, I multiply straight, use a calculator for my multiplication, round to the nearest hundredths, and this is what I get. 3,217.59 milliliters. So 3.4 quarts is approximately 3,217.59 milliliters. Okay? All right, let's take a look at example number 5, see how this works. Convert 4.25 kilograms to pounds, round to the nearest hundredth if necessary. Again, the first thing we need to do here, okay, is we need to write down 4.25, okay, kilograms over 1. So we want to convert it into pounds. So we know the denominator of our conversion factor would be kilograms, and we know that the numerator, since we want to convert it to pounds, will be pounds. LBS is the shortcut for pounds. Okay? And we go back to our table. Let's see if I can paste my table here. Probably not. Okay. So go back to our table and see where we can find kilograms and pounds. Okay, the relationship between kilograms and pounds. And if you notice here, we can see a relationship between kilograms and pounds right there. So 1 pound equals 0.4536 of a kilogram. So I'm going to write 0.4356 right here. 0.4536 and 1 pound right there. Okay, so this is actually what happened here. Okay, so if you notice, this is over 1. Okay, and we cancel out our kilogram just like we're doing here. Okay, and now you are dividing 4.25 because 4.25 times 1 is 4.25 and 1 times 0.4536 is 0.4536. So we get our calculator, we get 4.25, okay, and we press it divided by 0.4536, and this is our quotient rounded to the nearest hundredths place. So 4.25 kilograms is approximately 9.37 pounds. Okay? All right, we'll do one problem here, and I'll let you do D and F on your own. Let's do letter F. No, let's do letter D so you can do letter F on your own. Okay, so let's do letter D. So letter D is you have 7.44 cups is approximately equal to how many milliliters? So the first step is I'm going to write 7.44 cups over 1. Then I'm multiplying it with a conversion factor where the denominator will have a unit of cups. And since we are looking for milliliter, the numerator should have a unit of milliliter. Okay, if we go back to our table, okay, let me go back to that table. Okay, and let me cut it out there. Copy. Let me put it here. Okay, if you notice, we can see how cups and milliliters are related through this one right here. So that's our conversion factor. We know that in 1 cup, there are 236.59 milliliters. Okay, so all we need to do now is multiply straight. Okay, so this becomes now 7.44, and we simply multiply it with 236.59. Oh, before that though, we need to cancel out our unit of cup. That cancels out. Okay, and if we do 7.44, okay, hold on, let me bring up my calculator here. There we go. So if I clear this and I get 7.44, and I multiply that by 236.59, I end up with that answer, 1,760, okay, 0.2296, and so on and so forth. But remember, we want to round to the nearest hundredth. The nearest hundredths place is this. So we look at the digit to the right, which is a 9. So therefore, this rounds to 1,760.23, and the unit would be milliliters. Okay, so that's the answer for letter D. Do E and F on your own using the dimensional analysis. Okay, before we go to the last example. Last example, of course, is always a word problem. Okay, so let me put the calculator away for now. An Olympic-sized swimming pool is 50 meters long. About how many feet long is the pool? So we are actually converting from meters to feet. Okay, so again, without even, let's not look at the solution first. The first thing that we need to do is we need to write down 50 meters over 1. And we want to find our conversion factor. This time I'm going to use an x for multiplication. And we know that we need to get rid of meters, so we put meters here at the bottom as well. And we know that we need our answer to be in feet, so we need to put feet on top. Okay? So we know meters will cancel out. And if you look at our, okay, look at our conversion table here, or right here, I'm going to put it down here. We want to find, okay, the relationship between feet and meters. Okay, so here you can clearly see the relationship between feet and meters right there. So we know that 1 foot, we're going to write 1 foot here, is equal to 0.30 of a meter. Okay, and that's the reason why you get this 1 foot, put over that, and you notice that the meters cancel out right here, multiply straight. Okay, you end up with 50 feet over 0.30. Why is feet left? Because we just canceled out the meters. And we use a calculator, 50 feet or 50 divided by 0.30 will give you 166.67 feet rounded to the nearest hundredths place. So an Olympic-sized pool, let me take this out for now. An Olympic-sized pool, okay, is about 166.67 feet long. Okay? All right. Hopefully, you were able to follow along with the lesson. If not, please go back and rewind the video and make sure you go back to the part of the lesson where you don't understand uh, a particular solution. Okay? And that is it for this